I put together this quick little demo to give you an introduction to the Ignite platform, the designer side. You've actually already seen the user side, but now the most powerful side is going to be the designer side, and I wanted to give you a quick intro to that. So we're going to start with your Photoshop file. Really, that's where all your designs start, of course. And they're going to look something like this, where you have everything separated out, built out for the season, and you're ready to go. When going to Ignite, what you're going to do is you're going to save the different elements of your design into different folders. The best example of that is your opponent logos. So you have your opponent logos here positioned, ready to go. And what you're going to do is save them into a folder called opponent logos. Inside that folder, you're going to save your files in position as PNGs and labeled appropriately. So you're going to do the same for the different aspects of your design. This background is, the background element that everything sits on with a window for your uploaded photo. We have smaller elements here like that arc that sits on top, your sponsor logo, of course your team logo, and we'll do this little vignette that will sit over on top of the photo. So once everything's saved out, you're going to move into Ignite. Now I've loaded this demo that I did that we'll be building now, just so you can see it for yourself and see how it's built. But for now, we're going to start with a new template and just name it Score Update Square New, and the size of this template is going to be 1,000 by 1,000, and we'll have our new layout here. So it's right here. It's blank right now. So all you do is click into it, and this is where you'll see designer mode right here. This is where you're going to build your template, and it's really easy to do. So you'll see, drop your PNGs here. So what you're going to do is drop the folder that contains all the folders that you just created, and you're just going to drag that into this window, and you'll see them start to upload here. Now it's quite a few files, but even so, it's not going to take too long. Now you could have loaded these one by one, but if you have everything ready, especially when you're getting started, loading them all together really is the easiest way to do this. So you'll see everything loaded, but you'll see everything's in the wrong order. So you can quickly organize yourself by just simply dragging things in what you see as the best order. So the arc will be at the top. Sponsor usually we throw on the top, and then your logos are here. Okay, so this is your layer window. All these layers correspond to any one of these. Turn them off and on, trash them if you'd like, and this will be very important later, is when you can lock them from view from your users. So, and as you click one, over on the right hand side you'll see all the options for this particular layer. So every file that was included in this folder is now an option to select as a drop-down. Now you can always quickly see what your user mode is going to look like by flipping this switch here. So this opponent logos layer, if you flip, is going to look like this. So now you have a drop-down option for all of your pre-made logos. You'll have these options as well, but since there's only one file in there, there's really no selection needed. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So we're going to switch back to designer mode, and we're going to add in your photo upload. So down here, these are the different type of layers. Actually, there's 3 different type of layers that you can use to build your template. This is where you group your layers and where you can duplicate a layer. And again, we'll take a look at that in a little bit. Right now, we're going to add an image. And what we're doing is adding the image upload capability, not simply adding an image. So we'll see that here. I have a placeholder for you here that we'll use so we can see it in so we can see what it looks like. And again, it loads it to the top, which we don't want, so we'll drop that in position, and then if we grab the corner, we can scale it down so that it looks like what we need. Now you'll see we can zoom out here. That'll give us a little bit better view, and we'll put it here in the window as needed. So that looks good here. So what we're doing here is only adding the ability to upload a photo, not necessarily have a permanent photo here. And again, we can always swap over to user mode and see what that looks like. When the user comes in, your social media manager, they'll go in here and they'll click upload image, and then they'll be able to upload the appropriate image and make any adjustments they need when they're publishing this score update. So I'm going to switch back. So now that this is ready, now we're going to work on the live text. Okay, so what we're going to do, go down and add a text layer, and that adds it to the top here. We're going to do the scores first. So we'll, put in a sample score, but of course we have a very specific font that you used in your design, which we can see here was Montserrat here. What we've done is given you the ability to upload a font to every font layer. So we're going to go here and all your text layer options and upload custom font. So it's helpful to organize all your elements here, and you'll get the hang of this as you start to put things together. And so here we're selecting our font. You'll see the upload, and then you'll see it show up here perfect. Now we're going to select the color, and you'll see you have your hex numbers here. So what you can do is simply go in here and, eyedropper, grab the color, or if you already know what your brand colors are, which obviously you do, you'll be able to use those appropriately here. So we've got that going. Now we want that to center and to center, and now we'll just bring it up here, get our positioning, and we're going to want that to live here. Make that we're a little big on this. Okay, we're going to live here. Okay. Now, once that's done, we'll label it, and this will be our top score. And then this is where we use our duplicate, and this will be our bottom score. So you can drag it if you'd like. We have an undo button here, or you can actually type in very specific positioning here if you'd like. Just helps if you want to align things, but it's up to you. So we are now in a good position here, and now we're going to drag these into a more appropriate space. Actually, we're going to keep the sponsors up top, And we'll start at the top and then bottom, and we'll pull, everything else looks good. So now the period. Period is the same font. So we're going to duplicate. Up here, label. And now we're going to adjust this in position. And this is going to be final, for instance. All caps, final. And at a more appropriate size here. And then we're also going to grab our color. So you can see we're going back and forth between Photoshop and Ignite, and that's really how it's meant to be used, back and forth. And here we go, because what you're doing is replicating your Photoshop file in a template form. So actually at this point we are almost done. So everything looks good. Now we're just going to prep it for our user mode. By that I mean, one last thing is this little vignette here, which you can see, and we labeled it here as a multiply, which is going to be our blend mode. And here you can see it darkens it up just a tad. So we do have blend modes for every layer. You'll see here, and opacity, and that also applies to your text files. So you can play around with that a little bit. Oh, one more thing on positioning. Your opponent logos, for example. You'll see as part of the options, you can position all of your items. If you find you need a little bit of adjustment, you can position them here. Here's our undo. But if one in particular needs to be adjusted, right? For example, this one, you can simply select position selected item, and you'll be able to position only that item while the others remain in their original position. So just a little option in case something needs a little slight adjustment. Let's go back to position all items, and everything remains intact. Now, another thing I wanted to mention was we loaded everything together, but you could have done that one by one. For example, the team logo, let's get rid of that. And now let's pull that in just by itself. Here's our team logo. You can simply drag it and it'll come in on its own, and you can position as needed. So you can do it that way, or you could simply click the add drop down and browse to that folder and position it as needed here. So there's a few ways to do that. If you needed to replace one, for example, you can do that as well. So let's say the Blackhawks have a new logo. So we want to get rid of that because we don't need that. We're going to go to upload item and navigate to opponent logos and upload only that logo right here, and it drops in position. So you can make adjustments as such as needed, and these can always be renamed. Again, part of the cleanup process. You'll notice this came in with the extension, but when they come in together as a folder, you won't get those extensions. So everything's ready here. And so finally, we're going to prep for user. The vignette, they don't need to see it, so we'll lock it. The background, they don't need to see that, we'll lock that. We'll go ahead and lock the team logo, since that won't change, as well as the arc. And everything else looks good. We'll actually lock the sponsor, since they're not going to change that. And you'll see all these elements here. When the user goes in, they only see what they need to see here. So as they make their adjustments, they are only editing what you want then to edit. And opponent such. So nice and clean, super easy. Now this is still your account, and at any point you can export your final graphic from here. We'll go to your desktop here. So that'll go, you can download as needed. Now of course you're going to assign this to your users. So we'll go back to designer mode here. We'll go back to our dashboard and we'll go into our accounts. This is where you'll create accounts for anybody who's going to be using your templates on a daily basis. So we'll add a new account. So we'll say social media user here we go, user 1. We'll put in a simple password, 123. You can make your notes here. For now, I'm just going to put in the password. So here's your new user, and you can see they have 0 accounts assigned to them. Well, that's the designer job, is to determine who's going to use what account. So we'll go to our dashboard. You'll see our assign users icon. Simply click on that. Here's user 1. We're going to drag this into position so now this user has access to this template. It's that simple. So now we're done. So now as a user, we're going to go here and we're going to, this is where they will log into. So they're going to log in to this link here, which you'll provide to them. They're going to put in their password, 123. Oh, 123. Okay. Now you see the only thing they have access to is the account that you assign to them, and the only thing they can do is use it without having access to designer mode. So that's how it works. Hopefully I did a good job explaining to it. There's a lot more that you can do, but for now I think that will get you started. And of course I'm always here if you guys have any questions.